I've always believed that rules exist for a reason. That's what they taught me at the academy. That's what my captain repeated every single day. And for most of my career, I followed them. Every procedure, every protocol, every line I was never supposed to cross. Because in this job, one mistake can cost a life, or worse. My name is Daniel Hayes, Detective, Homicide Division, 8 years on the force. I've seen things most people wouldn't survive remembering, bodies that told stories no one wanted to hear, families destroyed in a single night, secrets buried beneath silence and fear. But nothing prepared me for this case. Because this wasn't just another investigation. This was the case no one could solve. It started on a cold Tuesday morning, the kind of morning where the city feels off, like something invisible is watching you, like the air itself is holding its breath. Dispatch called it in at 6:42 a.m. Possible DOA, female, apartment complex downtown. Routine. At least, that's what I thought. When I arrived, the scene was already secured. Patrol cars lined the street, blue and red lights flashing against the gray sky. Neighbors standing outside, whispering like they already knew something terrible had happened. They always do. I stepped under the tape. The smell hit me first. Not decay, something cleaner. Too clean. Detective Hayes, one of the officers nodded. She's inside. I didn't respond, just walked past him. Because something didn't feel right, and I've learned to trust that feeling. The apartment was small, minimalist, almost empty, like no one really lived there, just existed. And then I saw her. She was lying on the floor, perfectly still, perfectly positioned. Too perfectly. No signs of struggle, no overturned furniture, no broken glass, no defensive wounds. Nothing. It looked like she had simply laid down and died. But that's not what bothered me. What bothered me was her face. She looked calm, not peaceful, calm, like she knew something I didn't. Name's Emily Carter, the officer said behind me. 26, lives alone, no priors. I nodded slowly, still staring at her. Cause of death? Medical examiner's on the way, but looks like suicide. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was wrong. Why? I asked. The officer hesitated. Pills, empty bottle on the table. I glanced over. There it was, a prescription bottle, placed neatly in the center of the table. Not dropped, not rushed, placed. That's when it clicked. This isn't suicide, I said quietly. The officer frowned. What? I stood up slowly, scanning the room again. Every detail, every shadow, every silence. This is staged. He didn't respond right away, and honestly, I didn't blame him. Because if I was wrong, this would just be another closed case. Another file buried in a cabinet, another life forgotten. But I wasn't wrong. I could feel it. The medical examiner arrived 20 minutes later. Dr. Collins. Been doing this longer than I've been alive. If something was off, she'd see it. She knelt beside the body, examining carefully. Minutes passed. Silence filled the room. Then she looked up at me and said something I'll never forget. This doesn't make sense. That was all I needed. Toxicology would later confirm it. Yes, there were pills in her system, enough to kill her. But here's the problem. There were no fingerprints on the bottle. Not hers, not anyone's. And that's impossible. People don't take pills without touching the bottle. Unless someone didn't want us to know who did. That's when the case changed, from routine to impossible. Days passed, then weeks. No suspects, no motive, no leads. Emily Carter became just another unsolved case, filed away, forgotten by most, but not by me, because something about her stayed with me. That calm expression, that perfect scene, That feeling that someone had done this before. I started digging deeper, off the clock, off the record. That's when I found the first connection. Another case, 3 years ago, different city, same setup. Young woman, alone, ruled as suicide. Same calm expression, same lack of evidence, same perfection. My chest tightened. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a pattern. And patterns mean killers. I brought it to my captain the next morning, laid everything out, photos, reports, timeline. He didn't even look at them. "Drop it, Hayes." I stared at him. "Sir, this is bigger than one case. I said drop it." His voice was sharper this time, final. That's when I realized something. He wasn't dismissing me. He was afraid. And that scared me more than anything. Because if someone like him, someone who had seen everything, was afraid, then whatever I was dealing with was bigger than I thought. That night I couldn't sleep. Emily's face kept coming back. That calm look, that silence, like she was waiting for me to understand something. So I made a decision that would change everything. I went back to the case files, not just hers, all of them, and I found more. 5 cases, different cities, different years, same story. No struggle, no evidence, ruled as suicide, but they all had one thing in common: perfection. Too perfect. That's when I said it out loud, alone in that empty office. This isn't random. This was planned, precise, controlled. Whoever was doing this knew exactly what they were doing. And worse, they knew how to get away with it. I should have stopped there, followed orders, let it go. That's what a good detective does, right? But I didn't, because deep down, I already knew the truth. No one was going to solve this case unless I broke the rules. And that's exactly what I was about to do. I knew the moment I made that decision, there was no going back. Once you step outside the rules, you stop being protected by them. And in my line of work, that can get you killed. The next morning, I didn't go to the station. I couldn't risk anyone watching what I was about to do. Instead, I drove across the city to a place most officers avoid unless they absolutely have to: the archives. It was an old building, quiet, dusty, forgotten, just like the cases inside it. I showed my badge at the front desk. The clerk barely looked at me. "Records are in the back," she said. "No questions, no curiosity." Good, that's exactly what I needed. I spent hours digging through files, paper reports, old photographs, evidence logs, cases no one had touched in years. And one by one, they started to connect. At first, it was small details: the position of the body, the absence of struggle, the unnatural calm on the victim's face. But then, I found something bigger, something no one had noticed before. Every victim had visited the same type of place within 48 hours before their death. My heart started beating faster. Therapy clinics, private ones, discreet, expensive. At first, I thought it was coincidence. People go to therapy all the time, especially in big cities. But then I looked closer. It wasn't just therapy, it was the same network. Different names, different locations, different doctors, but all connected to one parent company. And that's when things stopped being coincidence. They started becoming a pattern. I wrote the name down, folded the paper, slipped it into my pocket, because now I had a direction. The clinic looked normal, too normal. Clean glass doors, soft lighting, a receptionist with a calm, rehearsed smile. "Good morning," she said. "Do you have an appointment?" I smiled back. "Not yet." I showed my badge. Her smile didn't disappear, but something in her eyes changed, just for a second. "I'd like to ask a few questions." "Of course," she replied smoothly. "Please, have a seat." She made a call, quiet, controlled, too controlled. A few minutes later, a man walked out, mid-40s, well-dressed, confident. The kind of person people trust instantly. "Detective," he said, extending his hand. "How can I help you?" I didn't shake it. "I'm looking into a case," I said. "Emily Carter. She was a patient here." He didn't react, not even a flicker. "I'm afraid I can't discuss patient information," he replied calmly. "Of course." "I'm not asking for details," I said, "just confirmation." Silence, then a polite smile. "I'm sorry, detective." That's when I leaned in slightly, lowered my voice. "She's dead." That usually changes things, but not this time. He didn't blink. "I'm very sorry to hear that," he said, "and I hope you find what you're looking for." And just like that, the conversation was over. But I didn't leave. Instead, I looked around. And that's when I noticed it. The cameras. Not just at the entrance, not just in the hallways, everywhere. Too many for a place like this. And all angled, perfectly, watching everything or controlling it. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. The clinic, the doctor, the way he didn't react, and the cameras. Something about those cameras bothered me, more than anything else. So I did something I definitely wasn't supposed to do. I hacked into their system. Not personally. I had a contact, someone who owed me a favor. Took him 3 hours. When he called back, his voice was different. "Where did you get this place from?" "That's not important," I said. "What did you find?" Silence. Then, "Nothing." I frowned. "What do you mean, nothing?" "I mean nothing," he said. "No stored footage, no archives, no backups." "That's impossible." "I know," he replied, "but it's like the system exists just to monitor in real time. No records, no history, just control." A cold feeling settled in my chest. "Can you track anything?" I asked. Another pause. "Yeah," he said slowly. "There's one thing." "What?" "All the feeds route through a central server." "Where?" He hesitated, then gave me an address. It was outside the city, industrial area, mostly abandoned warehouses. Of course it was. I parked a block away, didn't turn off the engine, didn't turn on the lights. Something about this felt wrong, not dangerous, worse, planned. I stepped out of the car slowly, every sound louder than it should be. The building was dark, no signs, no movement. But I knew this was it. I approached the door, locked. I didn't hesitate. I broke in. Inside, it was silent, too silent. Rows of equipment, servers, screens, all running, all active. I stepped closer, and then I saw it. Dozens of live camera feeds, different locations, different rooms, different people, all being watched. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just surveillance. This was something else, something bigger. I scanned the screens faster, and then I froze. One of the feeds showed a familiar room, a small apartment, minimalist, almost empty. My heart started racing. No, I stepped closer. It was her apartment, Emily's. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the timestamp. The footage wasn't old. It was live. I felt it immediately. That feeling, the one that keeps you alive. I wasn't alone. I turned slowly, and that's when I heard it. A voice. Calm. Controlled. "You weren't supposed to find this." My blood ran cold. Because I recognized that voice. It was him, the doctor. He stepped out of the shadows. Same calm expression. Same perfect composure. But now, there was something else. Something darker. "You're not like the others," he said. I didn't move, didn't speak. I just watched him, trying to understand. "What is this?" I asked finally. He smiled slightly. "Control." That one word changed everything. "You think this is about killing," he continued, "but it's not." I tightened my grip on my gun. "Then what is it?" He stepped closer, slow. measured. It's about influence. I didn't like where this was going. People are predictable, he said. With the right pressure, the right words, he tapped one of the screens. You can make them do anything. My chest tightened. No, I said, you're lying. He smiled again. Am I? He pressed something, and suddenly, one of the screens changed. A woman appeared, sitting alone, crying. She's one of our current subjects, he said calmly. My heart started pounding. What are you doing to her? Helping her, he replied. Then he looked at me, directly, just like we helped Emily. Rage hit me instantly. You killed her. He shook his head. No, detective. She killed herself. Silence. Heavy. Unreal. You're sick, I said. He tilted his head slightly. Or maybe, he said quietly, I just understand people better than you do. I wanted to arrest him, right there, right then, but something stopped me, because deep down, I knew I didn't have enough. No proof, no backup, no authority, nothing. And he knew it too. You broke the rules to get here, he said softly.